Kaidi is a big-eyed gooner who spent his life simping for his crush while she barely notices his existence. But when she forgets her glasses and ends up practically blind, he seizes the chance to become her eyes, using the opportunity to rizz her up and finally make her his girlfriend. It all starts one morning in class, when Kaidi notices that his crush Ai, who normally rocks glasses because she is half-blind, has suddenly shown up without them. Even though he is shocked by this, seeing how cute she looks without frames turns on his disco stick. He desperately tries to keep it in his pants, but he completely loses his cool when Ai greets him and apologizes for squinting like a wet cat. She explains it's because she is suffering from extreme colorblindness, and that's because she forgot her glasses at home. Kaidi almost breakdanced since it's the first time his crush has ever talked to him, so he makes it his personal mission to be her eyes for the rest of the day. When the first lecture is about to begin, Ai checks her bag and realizes she can't find her history textbook. To help, Kaidi then volunteers to find it in her bag, but she shoots him a stare that screams that he is way out of bounds, so he backs off immediately. He then nervously gives her his own book to use, like the desperate simp he is, but Ai scoots her chair closer so they can share, and this makes Bro almost have a heart attack. When the day's lesson begins, Kaidi nearly has a nervous breakdown because this is his first time being so close to a girl. When he can't contain his excitement in his pants, he slides the book to Ai and asks her to use it alone, since he prefers simping to education. Ai agrees, and for a brief moment, Kaidi is relieved to be free from her intrusive presence. However, he notices Ai burying her face in his book, since that's the only way she can read, so he mentally vows to frame the book since she touched it. Suddenly, Ai gets in his face, and Kaidi freezes like he has been dumped in a sea of glaciers. She asks who on earth he even is since her eyes are completely out of service, and after Kaidi nervously introduces himself, she thanks him for his help, then buries her face in the book again. After classes that day, Kaidi still couldn't believe that he finally scored a moment with his crush, but thanks to that, he didn't learn a single thing in class. As he heads to the locker, he suddenly finds Ai there staring weirdly at her sneakers. When he asks what's wrong, Ai explains that she is struggling to put on her sneakers because they've suddenly become Bigfoot size. However, Kaidi remembers that their lockers sit right next to each other, which makes him clock instantly that the visually challenged girl probably mistook his sneakers for hers. After he lets her know her mistake, Ai apologizes for the mix-up, but the simp tells her it's fine, even though deep down he's low-key jealous that his sneakers got to touch her feet before he ever will. After shaking off the freaky thoughts, he then offers to help her get her sneakers. However, when he opens her locker, he sees a green frog chilling on top of her sneakers, and he figures Ai's colorblindness must have tricked her into thinking her sneakers were green. After taking Mr. Froggy out of her locker, he gives her her sneakers and then she returns his. However, as Ai is about to leave, Kaidi clocks that she didn't tie her shoelace, so once again Bro fires up simp energy and volunteers to properly tie it for her. While he's at it, Ai thanks him for the help, but Kaidi freaks out when he catches a glimpse of her butter-smooth thighs.
Nice.
He immediately tries to get rid of the nasty thought so he doesn't cream his pants and then silently wishes that he never forgets the events of this day. But while he is lost in thought, Ai suddenly gets all up in his face again, and Bro almost combusts like an exhaust pipe. He nervously wonders why she is so close, so Ai explains that she wants to burn his face into her memory so she doesn't forget, and then walks away. Later that night, Kaidi can't stop replaying every moment he shared with Ai, and he secretly hopes she forgets her glasses again the next day so history can repeat itself. The following day, Kaidi spots Ai without her glasses again, making him freak out as he realizes the plot gods actually came through for him. He feels like a complete lowlife for being happy about it, but then he overhears Ai venting to her bestie that she'd stepped on her glasses and snapped it in half. Later, during PE class, Ai insists on playing dodgeball, despite her terrible eyesight, which worries Kaidi. So, being the licensed simp that he is, he steps up to defend her from getting ball smacked in the face, and Ai suddenly hugs him from behind. This makes him blush hard, but he ends up getting ball smacked in his family pouch. Shortly after, back in class, Kaidi notices Ai has once again pressed her face into her book, so he assumes she must be locked in reading. However, when the bald teacher furiously calls her out, Kaidi realizes the girl isn't reading at all but is deep in dreamland. He then tries to wake her up before the numbskull of a teacher notices, but the virgin loser gene in him won't let him bring himself to touch her. So instead, he covers for her by capping to the coconut head teacher that Ai isn't sleeping, but reading up close because she forgot her glasses. Luckily, he manages to fool the skinny knockoff Dwayne Johnson, and just as the teacher backs off, Ai suddenly wakes up by herself, completely clueless about where she is. When she turns to look at Kaidi, she mistakes him for her daddy and asks for her glasses. Being called daddy makes Kaidi lose all his brain cells, and as he nervously tries to clarify he isn't her daddy yet, Ai escalates the tension by sleeping on his shoulder. Kaidi panics and wishes the moment would never end, but Mr. Baldy smacks Ai to wake her up, ruining his enjoyment.
Come on, man.
The following day in class, Ai shows up without any glasses on and immediately gets in his face again. Thinking she might have forgotten who he is, Kaidi nervously tries to reintroduce himself, but Ai just smiles softly and tells him she can finally see exactly what he looks like. Then she leaves to chat with her friends, and that's when Kaidi overhears her mention that she's rocking contact lenses today. The next day, Ai is on kitchen duty, so our favorite simp decides to help her out. But while they're at it, Kaidi notices Ai slopping stew all over the trays, so he steps up and offers to take over the serving. But the stubborn girl shuts him down immediately, insisting she has it handled, so Kaidi reluctantly stands down. As she goes back to work, Kaidi is busy checking out her curves, and that's when he realizes just how cute she looks even with an apron on, and wishes he could wife her. Before she serves the next tray, he quietly advises her to ease up on the portions, and Ai actually listens, but she ends up dishing out amounts that could barely feed a church rat. Seeing how much she is struggling, Kaidi hopes they can be done with the kitchen duty already, but just then some fat punk shows up demanding more meat. This pisses Kaidi off because this will only stress Ai even more, but for some reason, instead of loading the fatty up with meat, Ai offers him extra potatoes. The fatso gladly takes the deal since his stomach has no standards, but Ai confuses the potatoes with meat and ends up dumping a mountain of meat onto his stew anyway. Once they've finished serving the entire line, they get ready to fix their own plates. But Kaide wonders if the reason Ai refuses to give the fatso meat was that she wants to keep the meat for herself. But while he is zoned out thinking about this, Ai gives him a bowl of soup filled with meat, and then whispers in his ear that it's her way of repaying him for helping her with her shoelace the other day. Kaide is floored that she had reserved most of the meat for him, but Ai jokingly warns him to zip his mouth and not tell anyone about it. The next morning, Ai's glasses pull a Houdini again, so Kaide courageously asks if she forgot to wear it as usual. Ai admits that she did, then pulls out a contact lens from her bag. But she complains that she hates using contact lens because it floats in her eyes and it's traumatizing to get them out. But since she has no other option, she decides to make do with the contact lenses, but as she tries putting them on, she gives up, complaining that they make her eyes teary. Watching her struggle, Kaide confidently advises her not to stress herself trying to get the lenses on, and then pulls off the greatest simp move of the 21st century by swearing to protect her. His insane declaration makes everyone cringe, but Ai is touched by it, so she thanks him for being the GOAT of simps. A few days later, Katie notices Ai has finally got her glasses on, but she's still squinting like a mole that just crawled out of the ground. When he asks why she's still squinting despite wearing her glasses, Ai reveals that it's humid outside, so her glasses are a little bit foggy. While they are having this conversation, some four-eyed burger face enters the class, and Ai immediately starts yelling that a creepy rando just entered their class. Shocked, Kaide explains that it's actually their classmate Tokudo, so Ai shyly admits that she couldn't tell who he was since she couldn't see his eyes through his foggy glasses. She then wonders if people also wouldn't be able to recognize her since her glasses are also foggy, but Kaide assures her they will. However, Ai tells him she doesn't mind if no one recognizes her and is only concerned that he can. Hearing this, Kaide stiffens like a BBC, and for a brief moment it feels like he might actually have a chance at bagging Ai. Later that day, Ai asks Kaide for his WhatsApp contact, and bro immediately agrees to share since his contact list is as empty as your bank account anyway. However, while they exchange contact information, he curiously asks why she suddenly wants his contact details. Ai reveals that it's because she might need his help one day when she forgets her glasses again. Caught off guard by her response, Kaide suggests she'd be better off hitting up her family or friends instead, but Ai says she'd be too embarrassed to go to them for something like that. She adds that she is only okay with being embarrassed around him, and this causes Kaide's blood pressure to spike and also charge his magic wand. Over the weekend, Kaide gets a message from Ai asking to meet at the nearest train station, so bro leaves all he is doing to meet up with her. When he gets there, he spots her standing like a klutz and realizes that once again she is without her glasses. He approaches and asks if she forgot her glasses, but Ai reveals that she didn't forget it, but rather she dozed off while inside the train and then Swiper swiped it while she was sleeping. At that moment, Kaide realizes she isn't cut out to be a nerd and should just be a baddie instead. Ai then explains that the reason she asked to meet him is because she wants him to take her somewhere. Kaide happily accepts to be her personal guide, and deep down he is over the moon, thinking it's some kind of date. Ai grabs his hand and thanks him for helping out, and bro almost spills his salty cream because it's the hand he goons with. With their hands locked like a couple, Kaide guides Ai like she's a lost puppy all the way to their first destination, which turns out to be a cake shop. Ai explains that she likes eating cakes during the weekend, but this time she struggles to put her fork to the cake, and this makes her sad. Instinctively, Kaide offers to feed her, but when he realizes how desperate he sounds, he tries to retract his offer, but Ai is already wide-mouthed like a thought desperate to throat a cucumber. After struggling with his inner demons, Kaide mons up and feeds her the cake, and she thanks him sweetly before popping her mouth back open for another round. After leaving the cake shop, they stop at the glasses store where Ai explains she's there to collect her brand new frames. While Ai is busy trying on her new glasses, Kaide is over to the side just staring at the palm she held earlier and plans to apply lotion on it the second he gets home. Since Ai now has her glasses and can see, Kaide bids her goodbye and is about to take his leave, but Ai grabs his hand and asks him to hang with her a bit longer. Kaide blushes tomato red and agrees, so they spend the rest of the day together. When it's evening, Ai admits that she had lots of fun, thanks him for hanging out with her, and then bids him goodbye. As he watches her leave, Kaide still can't process the fact that he just spent an entire day outside of school with his crush, and the whole thing feels like a fever dream. Meanwhile, as Ai heads home, she realizes that Kari is a solid guy for not once acting annoyed, even though she hijacked his entire weekend. On top of that, she's buzzing about finally having her new glasses, but then it suddenly hits her that she had been staring at Kari the whole time they spent together. The following week, Ai shows up in class rocking her new frames with a nose mask. When Kari asks if she has COVID, Ai says no and reveals that she has a cold, but Kari still finds her a cutie even with a face mask on. Just then, Ai notices two boys roasting Chunky Tokiko for also wearing glasses with a face mask, even though his face looks like a puke emoji. This makes Ai feel self-conscious, so she takes off her glasses, and when Kari asks about it, she claims she forgot it, forgetting that he saw her with it just a few minutes ago. The next morning, Kari enters the class only to find Azuma, the school's pretty boy, helping Ai search for her textbook. Watching the most attractive guy in school getting close to his crush turns Kari into a jealous wreck, so he tries to strangle the bitter feeling before it eats him alive. Mid-spiral, he overhears Ai accidentally call Azuma by his name, but she apologizes to Azuma the second she realizes he is definitely not Kari. She explains that Kari is the only guy who ever goes out of his way to help her, so her brain just defaulted to assuming it was him. Hearing that relieves the tension in Kari's chest, but he freezes up the instant he realizes that both Azuma and Ai had already spotted him standing there the whole time. The following day, Ai's glasses go MIA again, and she returns to squinting her eyes. When her beasties spot her squinting, they beg her to stop forgetting her glasses at home, and then warn that squinting her eyes all the time will turn her into a wrinkled old granny before 30. A few minutes later, when Kari shows up in class, he approaches to say hi to Ai, but she looks at him with big, googly eyes, which stops the simp heart for a second. But then she goes back to squinting her eyes, complaining that she can't see, and explains that she was trying her hardest not to furrow her brow. However, throughout that day in school, Kari couldn't stop replaying the image of her cute eyes in his head, and even at home, he shivers just thinking about it. The next day, Ai asks Kaide to help her get better at a word game so she can crush her friends whenever they play. Kaide agrees, so they start trading words, but Ai feels he is going soft on her, so she demands he cranks the difficulty all the way up. Kaide then decides to go fast with the word banter, but surprisingly in the end, Ai wins the round. After school that day, Kaide and Ai get picked to stay behind for cleaning duty along with a handful of other students. However, while they're working, Kaide spots a roach chilling on the wall dangerously close to Ai's cleaning spot and panics, knowing how much she despises anything that crawls. Ai can't see the roach because she is without her glasses, so Kaide struggles with how to warn her without freaking her out. While he brainstorms, the roach gets uncomfortably close to her, so he decides to just ask Ai to come closer to where he is. Without asking why, Ai approaches him until she gets in his face, almost at the verge of lip touching, and this tenses Kaide up so hard that his dangling sausage starts heating up. She then asks why he called her, and before Kaide can explain, one girl suddenly notices the roach on the wall and starts screaming like a white girl in a horror movie. This frightens Ai that she freaks out and hugs Kaide, and our boy almost has a seizure from her touch. The next day it rains heavily, but Kaide manages to get to class only to see Ai already there. She complains that once again she forgot her glasses, but Kaide wonders if she bumped her head somewhere because her glasses are sitting right on top of her forehead. When he points this out, Ai touches her forehead, and the glasses accidentally drop to the floor. Kaide immediately picks it up before it breaks. She thanks him and closes her eyes for him to help slide the glasses on, but Kaide nearly has a heart attack thinking she wants a kiss. When his brain cells finally register what she really wants, he struggles with his inner culturedness not to just kiss her before eventually help her put the glasses on. Later that day, Ai stumbles across a love letter that two girls had dropped, and since her eyes are for fancy, she brings it straight to Kaide to figure out who it belongs to. While he looks it over, Kaide discovers that the letter is addressed to hot boy Azuma. When he tells Ai this, she snatches the letter back and immediately volunteers to personally deliver it to Azuma. However, knowing this can lead to a misunderstanding, Kaide quickly chases after her to stop her, but too late, she already gets into the class and delivers it to Azuma. Azuma receives the letter thinking it's from Ai, and everyone else also has the same assumption. As Ai returns to her seat, her besties approach and ask if she is also simping for Azuma, but Ai has no clue what the blockheads are yapping about. However, she does admit that she likes Azuma as a friend, but since everyone has their minds in the gutter, they twist that into meaning she's completely crazy over him. Only Kaide understands what she is trying to say, so when he notices Azuma heading out of the class to read the letter, he chases after him to explain things. However, when he spots Azuma reading the letter by the staircase, his courage abandons him, so instead he resigns himself to the thought that Azuma will eventually figure out who the letter is from. When he returns to his seat, he breaks down emotionally, thinking Ai might truly have feelings for Azuma since Azuma has a face that can make any girl wet, while he has a stupid face that will instantly dry a girl up. A few moments later, Ai notices how glum he looks, so she gets in his face and asks if he is fine. Kaide nearly jumps out of his skin at how close she is and immediately claims to be fine, even though his hands are trembling like a fish out of water. After gathering himself, he nervously asks Ai what she thinks about Azuma, and she repeats that she likes Azuma. However, she says she would get it if people would rather ship her with him rather than Azuma. Shocked Shocked by this, Azuma asks why she'd say something like that. She explains that it's because she has genuinely grown attached to him and actually likes him. Kaede is still trying to decode exactly what kind of feelings she means when Azuma suddenly shows up with a reply letter for Ai in response to the one she delivered. Since Ai can't read to save her life, she passes the letter over to Kaede to help her read it, and Kaede freezes, not expecting her to ask for his help to read a reply to a love letter. Azuma tells him he has no issue with him reading it, so Kaede reluctantly opens it, but sees that Azuma has written a message telling Ai that Kaede likes her. Kaede is caught off guard by the message. When Azuma gets to his seat, he clears the air, letting everyone know that Ai didn't write the letter and was simply playing delivery girl for someone else. Fed up with the silence, Ai demands someone tell her what the letter actually says, but Kaede has no idea how to tell her what was written inside. So he takes the coward's route and tells her that Azuma was simply thanking her for dropping off the letter. One chilly morning, Kaede spots a vending machine and decides to buy coffee. But when he gets close, he runs into Ai, staring intently at it as if she is watching adult content. When he calls her name, she turns and explains that she wants a warm cocoa drink to fight the cold. Kaede immediately clocks that, as per usual, she has abandoned her eyes at home, so he offers to help her get the drink. But Ai firmly refuses, insisting that she got it, and then scolds him for sounding like her mom. After she finally gets her drink, she takes one sip and immediately spits it out, complaining that it's bitter. And that's when Kaede realizes that instead of a warm cocoa drink, the blind girl got herself black coffee. When he tells her, she admits that she should have asked for his help, and then asks if he wants the coffee. Kaede freezes, realizing that if he takes a sip from the same can, it will count as an indirect kiss. So, since he is the president of Virgins Association, he declines the kind gesture, claiming that he hates black coffee more than he hates the devil. The next day, Kaede runs late for school, so he rushes to make it to the first lecture. However, while he is in his Subway Surfer mode, he somehow runs into Ai, who is also out here burning calories trying to make it to class. To score points, he joins her in the race to class only to be disappointed that Ai can't even recognize who he is, since she is without her glasses. As they're about to cross the road, Kaede notices her hair is an absolute disaster, and then his eyes drop further and he clocks that her skirt is awkwardly lifted, giving him a clear view of her inner thighs. He tenses up and immediately looks away before his little Johnny wakes up. He then alerts her to the wardrobe situation, so Ai apologizes for the accidental peep show before yanking her skirt back into place. She also mutters under her breath about how much she hates that her hair is a total mess, and then says she would hate for Kaede specifically to ever catch her looking like a homeless scrub. Later that day, Ai suffers an injury during PE class, so Kaede seizes the chance to help carry her to the infirmary so he can rub against her soft plot. Along the way, she apologizes for being too heavy, explaining that she recently gained weight from snacking on too much waffles. Kaede is floored that in the middle of being injured, her brain went straight to her waistline, but he gets lost in the moment when he notices how cute she looks. When they finally reach the nurse's office, Kaede notices that every chair in the room has a stack of books dumped on it, so he tells Ai to lean against something while he clears them off so she can sit down. Ai agrees, but while clearing out the books, Kaede suddenly realizes Ai is leaning against a weight scale. He panics and quickly politely asks her not to stand there, so she doesn't see her weight and gets self-conscious. But it's too late as Ai already looks down and her face floods with embarrassment as she registers exactly how much she weighs. During lunch break, Ai struggles to hang a poster on the notice board since she's a low-key dwarf, so our simp protagonist offers to do the job for her, thinking he is Shaquille O'Neal. But reality slaps him in his ugly face when his hand can't even reach, and he realizes he is shorter than Kevin Hart. But just then, Azuma shows up with his cool boy steez to get the poster up without breaking a sweat, and this fills Kaede with bitter jealousy. Noticing the change in his mood, Ai asks what the problem is, and Kaede admits that he wishes he were a bit taller. But Ai gets in his face and tells him she prefers his height because it lets her look him directly in the eye without straining her neck, and this makes Kaede's cheeks ignite like a furnace. Later that day in class, everyone buzzes about how the cloud is shaped like a heart, but Ai couldn't get the amazing view since her eyeballs are completely useless. Kaede notices how much she is straining her eyes just to get a view, so he takes a picture of the heart-shaped cloud. That night, he sends it to her through WhatsApp, explaining that he noticed how badly she wanted to see it, and his kind gesture makes Ai smile. Days later, Ai misplaces her glasses and can't find them, so Kaede volunteers to help her. While searching for them, he runs into a fine chick who hands over Ai's glasses, explaining that she found them just sitting on the bathroom sink. After joking about how thick the lenses are, she puts them on Kaede's face, asking him to give them to Ai since he sits next to her, and Kaede loses his mind just having Ai's glasses on. Just then, Ai walks in on them, only to see Kaede pinning the strange chick against the wall like he wants to bend her over. At first, she squints and struggles to make out who either of them even is, since everything is one big blur without her glasses. However, when she overhears the random girl mention Kaede's name, she gets jealous and immediately shoves Kaede away from the man-snatcher. Over the weekend, Ai invites Kaede to go glasses shopping with her to replace the one she misplaced the day before. She explains that her dad was always the one who went glasses shopping with her, but since he is in Dubai chasing after BBL baddies, she wants his candid opinion. She then starts testing out several frames, but Kaede realizes that she looks super cute in all the glasses, so he struggles to come up with a choice for her. When she asks which one he likes, he honestly admits that she looks like a snack in all of them and hates himself for not being able to give a proper opinion. While he is busy racking his brain of how best to be a good judge, I gets in his face and asks if he is okay, and he nervously claims he is fine. But then he comes clean and admits that picking one is genuinely impossible for him because she looks peng cute regardless of whichever frame she wears. He then apologizes for being totally useless, but I waves it off and chooses the usual frame she likes putting on. However, the next day, she returns to squinting again and then reveals that she fell asleep on the new frame she just got and snapped it in half. Kaede is in disbelief, and it dawns on him that if he eventually marries her in the future, he will have to spend his entire savings replacing glasses. Several weeks later, Kaede runs errands for his mom to get some ketchup, but on the way he stumbles upon Valentine's gifts, which remind him that Valentine's Day is just around the corner. His lovesick brain kicks into overdrive, and he starts cooking up vivid daydreams of receiving a Valentine's gift from Ai, which makes him loudly wish he could get one in reality. But to his shock, Ai appears behind him like a horror villain and asks if he just called her name. Kaede's soul nearly leaves his body by her sudden presence, but the panic melts away when he notices how cute she looks in her casual clothes. For the second time, Ai asks why he was out here wishing on her name, and Kaede's brain detonates internally, realizing that she overheard his naughty wish. He reasons that if he comes clean about wanting a Valentine's gift from her, she will read it as him confessing to her, and he is scared of getting rejected. So instead of manning up and telling her the truth, he dodges the entire conversation and tells her he is in a rush to get to the supermarket. However, since Ai is also heading to the same supermarket to grab mayonnaise for her mom, she accompanies him, which only increases Kaede's tension. While searching for what they needed, Ai recalls Kaede wishing he could get something from her, so she asks him what he wants from her. Panicking, Kaede prays that something will save him from answering her question. And just then, the store staff draws their attention to some free samples of sweet chocolates. Kaede immediately tries to stop Ai from trying out the free chocolates, hoping she doesn't connect the dots and figure out what season it is, but Ai completely ignores him. In a last-ditch effort, he grabs her by the hand and takes her away from the chocolate station, hoping he has stopped her from finding out. But halfway, Ai stops and starts yapping about how she plans to make chocolates sometime next week. Playing dumb, Kaede asks why she'd be making chocolate, and Ai drops the bomb on him by explaining that she's doing it for the upcoming Valentine's Day. He then asks whether what he had been wishing for her to give him was chocolate, and Kaede almost evaporates at the spot, thinking she's figured out the feelings he has for her. He desperately prays that she doesn't reject him, but Ai is confused by his reaction and asks if he wants chocolate too. She reveals that she plans to give all her friends chocolate for Valentine's, including him, and Kaede is relieved that her brain didn't register his intention. On Valentine's Day, Kaede is convinced he is getting chocolate from Ai, along with her other friends. However, after she is done sharing the chocolates with her friends, she checks her bag and realizes there are none left for Kaede. This leaves her feeling guilty, and despite Kaede insisting he's not bothered that he is the only one who didn't get chocolate, Ai asks him to wait behind after school. Once the school day wraps up, Ai admits that she still wants to give him something for Valentine's, since he is also her friend and shouldn't be left out. However, since she can't come up with anything to replace the chocolate, she begs him to ask for whatever he wants her to do, promising that she will do it. Kaede immediately thinks about asking for a whiff of her hot Cheeto coochie, but he ditches that thought when he realizes this is his chance to finally ask her out. So he stands fully prepared to confess, but all of a sudden he gets cold feet, realizing this confession might go badly and leave Ai hating him for life. He also reasons that this might not be the best situation since Ai is without her glasses and cannot properly see his face. Weighed down by all these doubts, he chickens out and apologizes for failing to speak his mind. He explains that the timing doesn't just feel right and promises to tell her when she can actually see his face. Ai responds with a gentle smile, saying she'll wait until he's ready, sending Kaede into a panic, wondering if the naughty girl already suspects his feelings. Ai then gives him a single chocolate she kept for herself, and then tells him to take his time with whatever he has to say. After Valentine's Day, White Day rolls around, so Kaede decides to gift Ai some white chocolate as a thank you for the Valentine's gift. However, when Ai shows up that morning, Kaede notices that she looks like a sucked mango. When he asks if anything is wrong with her, Ai grumbles that she skipped her usual morning cocoa and also left her glasses at home. Okay, she also adds that she got lots of chocolates from her friends on Valentine's Day, and she scarfed them all without any restraint. Now she's determined to hold off having chocolate temporarily so she won't turn into a chunky mess, and she wants Kaede's help policing her diet. Happily, Kaede agrees to be her personal weight monitor system, but deep down, he is bummed because it means he won't be able to give her the chocolate he bought. Just then, Heartthrob Azuma shows up and gifts Ai some chocolate treats to repay her Valentine's gift. Kaede notices how hard Ai is trying not to scarf down the chocolate snacks, so he reminds her about her mission to stay away from chocolate. To make matters worse, some dude with a punchable face also shows up to gift Ai some dark chocolate, and Ai tries to snack on it too. Kaede tries his best to stop her, but when he realizes that she has no self-control when it comes to anything black and thick, he decides to give her some tough love. He offers to hold onto her chocolate gifts for safekeeping, but Ai declines, insisting she only wants a single bite. Kaide realizes she's dead set on tasting the chocolate, and to make things worse, it's the very treat Azuma gave her. So rather than letting her sample Azuma's sweet dark bar, he anxiously offers up his own bar instead, leaving Ai puzzled. He then sheepishly admits he'd held back giving it earlier to avoid stirring up complications, but she can decline, and he'll just take it home. But to his surprise, Ai takes a bar from the pack and then thanks him for the gift. As she takes a bite, the yummy taste fills her with excitement, so she thanks him again for being so sweet. The following morning, Kimura notices Ai staring at a piece of paper, so he asks her what's up. Ai excitedly explains that she managed to fill up her point card for a sweet campaign, but sadly points out that it expires the next day, so she must post it that day. Since she's without her glasses, Kimura worries she might get lost on the way to the post office. So, as usual, he turns on his simp button and volunteers to accompany her. Ai lights up at this, but suddenly Kimura gets called over by his homies, who invite him to hit the arcade with them. Kimura instantly gets pumped for some arcade time, and completely forgets his promise to escort Ai to the post office. However, once he remembers, he turns his friends down, claiming he's already got something planned. But Ai overhears this exchange and feels guilty that he's blowing off his friends purely for her sake. So later during class, she tells him not to bother accompanying her to the post office, insisting that she can manage on her own. Stunned, Kimura attempts to justify his concern since she forgot her glasses, but Ai insists she's got her contacts in, so there's nothing to worry about. But just then, the teacher calls on her to read a passage, and even though she tries her absolute best not to mess up by getting her face in the book, she still struggles. This is enough proof for Kimura to know she is capping hard about having her contacts on, so he decides he's walking her to the post office regardless. Once classes wrap up, Kimura catches Ai squinting hard at the chalkboard, attempting to figure out the general purpose classroom. Just then, two of her baddie friends, seeing how much she is struggling, volunteer to accompany her, but Ai angrily declines their offer and then runs out of the class. The friends are confused by her reaction, so Kimura decides to go searching for Ai. He finds her by the staircase, and that's when Ai finally comes clean that she has been acting weird because she found out he gave up hanging out with his friends for her sake. She confesses she genuinely wants to spend time with him, feels genuinely happy whenever he's nearby, and can't shake the urge to keep him to herself. Upon hearing this, Kaide breaks into a cold sweat and tenses up, but Ai nervously explains that her intention is never to monopolize him. She then repeats that she will go to the post office herself, but Kimura stops her and insists on tagging along. In the end, the two of them arrive at the post office together and successfully mail the stamp card. Several months down the line, Kimura advances to the next class, and he is glad that his forever crush is in the same class as him. During the Perfect Attendance Award ceremony, he and Ai receive awards for their outstanding attendance records and get called to the podium. However, as they make their way to the stage, Kimura overhears two Dumbos gossiping about Ai's angry look, and he worries that if Ai receives the award with such a grouchy look, it might ruin her school cred. Though he's grown accustomed to Ai squinting constantly since she's always misplaced her glasses, he worries strangers won't get it and will peg her as some oddball. So he tries to help loosen up her expression by offering to ease her nerves using a palm technique he learned from YouTube. Ai agrees and extends her palm to him. The moment their hands make contact, Dude blows his load and loses his cool. Clocking how tense he is, Ai then advises him to think of something fun, like a monkey flipping pancakes, claiming it'll help him chill out. Kimura is unable to believe he ended up being the one getting calmed down, so he chooses to let go of her hand before he bursts another fountain in his innocent pants. Just then, his name gets called for the attendance award, and he grows anxious with all eyes fixed on him. He remembers Ai advising him to think of something fun to ease his tension, so he starts thinking of her hot face he hopes to cream on one day, and this somehow relieves him. Next, Ai gets called to the stage to receive her award, and she does it with grace and steeze. Once the Perfect Attendance Award is over, the students return to their classes and find out they need to switch seats for the new academic year. Kimura gets worried about who Ai will be sitting next to, but his worry turns to intense jealousy when Ai picks her slot and ends up sitting next to Azuma. He, on the other hand, gets to sit next to a fine baddie named Yuka, but when Ai turns and notices this, she low-key gets jealous. Just then, some random girl walks up to Ai, claiming that the seat actually belongs to her. Puzzled, Ai double-checks her assigned number, only to discover her poor eyesight caused her to misread the digits, so she winds up seated beside a girl called Someya instead, and Kimura feels relieved that she's nowhere near Azuma now. Still, Ai keeps stealing back glances at Kimura, and when he notices, he gets nervous and immediately tries to strike up a conversation with Yuka. But Yuka senses that he isn't into her like that, so she stands from her seat and approaches Ai to ask them to switch seats. Without a second thought, Ai agrees, and with Someya's help, they drag her chair backward close to where Kimura is seated. Trying to play it cool, Kimura asks why she isn't up front, and Ai claims it's because she'd easily get caught if she dozed off in class. But then she admits that it's also because she'll get caught if she keeps looking back at him during class, and hearing this fills Kimura's guts with butterflies. Before long in art class, the old hag of a teacher instructs all students to pair up and draw portraits of each other. Kimura and Ai pair up and start sketching out each other's facial features, and Kimura is determined to unleash his Leonardo da Vinci skills and draw Ai like an angel. But since Ai's glasses is still on vacation, she complains that no matter how hard she tries to draw him, she can't even see him. She asks if drawing purely from imagination is acceptable instead, and Kimura consents only for her to produce a portrait of him as a potato head. After school that same day, Ai's friends invite her to walk home together, and she agrees, unaware she's left her glasses sitting on her desk. When Kimura enters the class to get his bag, he stumbles upon her glasses and immediately WhatsApps her about it. He sends her a text, asking what she'd like him to do, and Ai glumly replies that he should just leave them in the classroom. However, remembering it's the weekend, Kimura worries that abandoning the glasses in an empty classroom for that long seems risky, so he offers to bring them home instead, and Ai thanks him. But on getting home, Kimura realizes it was a huge mistake to have suggested bringing Ai's glasses home since his Gooner side can't handle holding onto something belonging to his crush. Soon after, he attempts to distract himself with a book, but every time he turns to look at her glasses perched on his shelf, he imagines seeing Ai staring at him. Frustrated, Kimura gives up on his book and surrenders to his Gooner side, so he grabs a rag and starts massaging Ai's glasses to relieve himself. He even tries to put on the glasses but freezes because he can't handle such an overwhelming level of intimacy. Meanwhile, Ai is in her room, reading with her backup glasses when she suddenly gets the urge to chat with Kimura. So she calls to thank him for taking care of her glasses and to also tease him that having her glasses at his place is just like having her visit his place. After that, she ends the call, saying they will see each other the following Monday, while Kimura continues to imagine seeing her in his room every time he stares at her glasses. The following Monday, Ai shows up squinting like an old pensioner as usual, and then gets in Kimura's face just to know if it is truly him. Ai suddenly trips and crashes her soft melons against his chest. Bro almost explodes his bladder having her this close, but Ai quickly gathers herself and apologizes. She admits that recently she has been crashing into people, and once she bumped her forehead into someone. She also confessed that once she did it, her lips accidentally touched the person she bumped into. Hearing this, Kimura freaks out, but Ai quickly clarifies that the person she bumped into was her dad, and then begs him not to see her like some bad hookup girl. She quickly sits to hide how embarrassed she is, but Kimura catches it and even notices how flustered she is. Later on, Mei's friend Asuka approaches to point out her messy bedhead, instantly making her self-conscious. Since she can't spot it herself without glasses, she decides to head toward the restroom for a proper mirror check. Asuka insists it's not a big deal and class is starting soon, but the thought continues nagging at her. Kimura quietly watches this whole exchange unfold, concluding Mei won't settle down until she confirms it herself. Right then, she turns and asks if her hair seems off, and Kimura assures her it looks perfectly fine. Reassured, she decides to drop the worry entirely, leaving Kimura stunned that she actually sought out his opinion. Several days later, Mei catches Kimura rubbing his own shoulder in class, and when questioned, he claims it's just stiffness. She leans toward him, mentioning she's skilled at giving massages, but Kimura panics and insists he's totally fine. Mei persists though, noting that both her parents genuinely love her massage technique, and Kimura relents to avoid disappointing her. Mei then demonstrates exactly what her fingers can accomplish on his shoulder, and Kimura fights desperately not to unleash the dragon. Once finished, she jots it down in her notebook, explaining she's cataloging things she can do to help him, even without his glasses on. This sends Kimura's pulse racing, and she wishes he'd remain by her side indefinitely. Days later, Mei walks into class and discovers Kimura fast asleep, so she leans close to rouse him. However, since this marks her first time witnessing him sleep, she lingers, soaking in the sight. She grows a bit too bold and attempts to hold his hand, but Kimura wakes and starts blushing. Embarrassed, Ai quickly explains she wanted a clear look at him, since she's wearing her glasses today, and then suggests he look at her too, but Kimura firmly declines the offer. On yet another drizzly afternoon, Ai's walking to school with her umbrella up when she bumps into Kimura. She immediately mentions she left her glasses at home again, and since rain makes vision worse, she really has to concentrate on where she's stepping. Right after, she lands in a puddle and totally wrecks her shoes, which annoys her. Once seated in class, she asks Kimura to avert his eyes for a moment, and the second he complies, she yanks her socks off fast. When Kimura glances back, he catches a full view of her smooth, bare legs, so he snaps his head toward the window before it awakens his inner Johnny Sins. Ai says he's allowed to look now, but Kimura insists he'd rather just admire the rainfall today. On a separate occasion, Kimura's heading home when he spots Ai sitting solo in a park. Before he can gather the nerve to speak up, Ai spots him first and mentions she left her house keys behind, so she's stuck waiting for her mom to arrive. She then asks Kimura to give her a push on the swing, and he stands behind her trembling head to toe since he's never been this close to a girl before. He briefly questions whether swinging this counts as inappropriate pre-marriage contact, but he goes ahead anyway. As Ai happily enjoys the swing, Kimura suddenly panics that her skirt might flip up in front, so he halts the swing abruptly. While he's hovering above her, Ai tilts her head up to meet his gaze, sending him into a total meltdown. After he blames it on the breeze, Ai nonchalantly hikes her skirt to reveal she's wearing shorts underneath, causing him to turn red. The following day, Kimura drops an item in class and Ai swoops down to grab it. He realizes she's holding his App Store gift card and panics that she'll judge him for spending heavily on in-game purchases. Luckily, Ai doesn't recognize the card at all, and he fibs that it's an Apple-branded card as she nonchalantly returns it. While eating lunch together, Kimura feels guilty over the lie, but reassures himself that he's shielding her from the toxic gaming addiction scene. Right then, Ai offers him an apple slice since she assumes the Apple card means he buys apples, which deepens his guilt. That night, Ai calls him up asking where the bathroom is located. Confused, Kimura questions her meaning, and Ai realizes she accidentally rang his number rather than Asuka's. She apologizes for calling so late, but Kimura assures her it's no issue and pretends he was awake anyway. Ai hangs up, then mistakenly dials him again right after. This time, Kimura offers to assist her, and she reveals she's currently sleeping over at Asuka's house. She's misplaced her glasses and wandered off hunting for the restroom without them, unable to see a thing in the darkness. She's also spooked by the dark since she watched a scary film beforehand, so she requests Kimura sing something to calm her nerves. Kimura belts out a horrendously off-key tune, yet somehow still sounds better than Drake. Suddenly, he hears his mom approaching in the hallway and dives under his covers, leaving Ai clueless and thinking he ditched her mid-call. As she presses the phone tighter to her ear, Kimura begins murmuring softly into it, making her cheeks heat up. Once his mom's footsteps fade away, he tells Ai he accidentally hit mute, and she cracks up thinking he dozed off. She then flicks on her phone's flashlight to find the toilet and lets Kimura know she'll mute herself briefly. Right before that, she softly says his name the same way he did earlier, causing him to tumble right off his bed. After finishing up, Ai climbs back into bed and thanks Kimura for tolerating her antics. She tells him she's about to end the call, unaware Kimura would gladly stay awake all night just hearing her talk. The next day, everyone gathers for swimming class and Ai once again forgets her glasses. While Kimura questions whether she even bothers wearing them in the pool, he spots her sporting prescription swim goggles. Right then, his buddy tells him he gets it. He's simping hard, but warns him to tone down the staring before someone notices. Meanwhile, Asuka informs Ai that Kimura's been eyeing her constantly, making her blush intensely. Days later, Kimura bumps into Ai outside school eating ice cream, and she tells him to keep it hush-hush. Standing next to her, he thinks she looks stunning bathed in sunlight. He also spots the word win carved into her popsicle stick, so right as she's about to toss it, he grabs her wrist to stop her. Realizing what he just did, he quickly retreats and explains she actually won a prize from that stick. She asks if winning excites him that much, and after he confirms, she offers him the stick outright. Once she dashes off, Kimura is left holding it, debating whether to redeem it for a prize or preserve it as a treasured keepsake. A few days afterward, Kimura spots a random cat at school and trails behind it without reason. It guides him to a secluded spot where he catches Azama with a girl, prompting him to duck behind a tree. He instantly clocks that a confession is unfolding, right as the earlier cat starts meowing directly at him. Worse still, Kimura spots Ai approaching while meowing herself, realizing she's out searching for that same cat. As Ai continues meowing like a goofball, the cat finally obeys and settles by her feet. Still, Ai can't see past her lashes and keeps meowing until the cat brushes against her ankles. Ai almost stumbles onto the confession happening nearby, but the cat conveniently steers her away. Right then, Kimura starts imagining how Ai might react if he confessed his feelings, but suddenly she starts heading his way again. Panicking, Kimura pulls her tightly against him, just as the girl utters those 3 life-changing words to Azuma. While Kimura stays frozen and quiet, Azuma tells the girl he's got feelings for someone else already, and Ai realizes Kimura just kept her from crashing their moment. Right then, Kimura silently vows to himself that he'll confess his own feelings to her soon. Some days later, the class gets instructions to split into field trip groups, and Kimura can't stop watching Ai, who's teamed up with Asuka and Maho. Once his buddies clock this, they push him to team up with Ai since she'll probably lose her glasses again. Right then, Kimura clocks that everyone views him as Ai's designated caretaker, which checks out since he's constantly bailing her out. He wants to stay close enough to help her, but he can't muster the courage to just walk over. Suddenly, he realizes their group can hold 6 people, and since there are exactly 6 of them, his friends all agree to tag along. Meanwhile, Ai has also locked eyes on Kimura, but Asuka warns her not to leave her glasses behind since they'll be outdoors. Ai reveals she's got it handled, and when pressed for details, she explains she'll stash backup glasses in her bag. Asuka then asks if she wants to invite Kimura along, noting she's been eyeing him this whole time, which makes Ai blush hard. She confesses she genuinely wants him to come along, unaware that he and his crew are standing right beside her. Asuka warns Kimura that Ai tends to forget her glasses, blows through cash on tours, and worst of all, wanders off and gets lost, so everyone's relying on him to keep her safe. Ai apologizes to Kimura since Asuka spoke without his consent, but Kimura clarifies that he actually showed up to ask her himself. Ai says she'd love to have him join, so the group sits down together to hash out plans. Ai then tells him she's thrilled to travel alongside him, since being near him makes her feel secure, which sends his heart racing. That night, Ai's home getting ready for the next day, and tucks a backup pair of glasses into his bag. Lying in bed, she stresses over being viewed as clumsy and dense, vowing to be extra careful so she won't burden Kimura. She then tries to fall asleep afterward, but excitement keeps her mind circling back to Kimura. The next morning, Kimura sprints into class apologizing for tardiness, blaming his sleeplessness on pure excitement. Right then, Ai bursts in and announces her glasses snapped on the way over, though it's fine since she brought a spare set. Boarding the bus, she produces the backup pair, and Asuka notes the only remaining risks are getting lost or blowing their budget. Ai glances at Kimura and says she's excited for today, prompting Asuka to bring up how Ai once splurged on fake glasses purely because they looked cute. Just then, Ai realizes she grabbed the fake pair by mistake instead of her real backup, but she chooses to stay quiet about it. Later at the museum, Kimura clocks she can't see a thing and feels bad since she'd been so hyped for this outing. Kimura opts not to say anything since pointing it out would humiliate her, but then she stumbles straight into his arms. This scrambles his brain like he just powered down from some ultimate form, so he quickly redirects her focus toward a clearly visible display. This tips Ai off that Kimura is aware of her problem, filling her with deep embarrassment. He attempts to lift her mood, but nothing he says lands. Not wanting to weigh him down, she tells him to go explore on his own, and Kimura backs off to respect her space. Later, heading outdoors, Ai space outs and loses track of her group, ending up alone and miserable. Right then, Kimura tracks her down using her shared location, and she starts apologizing profusely for the hassle she's caused. Kimura tells her it's not a big deal, but she finally breaks down crying, feeling useless without constantly troubling him. Kimura sits quietly beside her, unable to voice that helping her is genuinely the highlight of his day. Eventually, he admits he actually hopes she forgets her glasses daily, leaving Ai confused about his reasoning. Leaning in closer, he explains it's because assisting her brings him joy, so she shouldn't feel guilty leaning on him. Later, walking home, Kimura worries she might resent him since Ai stayed silent after hearing that confession. Right then, Ai tells him he's being far too sweet, and he notices her hand resting atop his own. She admits his words genuinely made her happy, proving she doesn't resent him at all. The next school day, Ai forgets her glasses yet again since Kimura's kind words have consumed her thoughts. She resolves to quit leaning on his generosity, even though he insisted he didn't mind, and digs disposable contacts out of her bag. Later, Kimura arrives and apologizes for the odd things he said on the trip, but she reassures him not to fret since she'll try being less dependent. She even mentions she's pushing through the discomfort of wearing contacts, which makes him genuinely glad. Later, Asuka picks up on Ai's newfound anxiety about forgetting her glasses and tells her to chill since Kimura enjoys helping out. Right then, she receives a text from Yasaka, one of Kimura's buddies, making her blush intensely. She quietly steps away from them, and Maho gleefully informs Ai that Asuka's caught feelings. Afterward, Ai mulls over what love genuinely means, but abandons the thought partway. Heading toward the teacher's office, she crosses paths with Kimura, who's pleased she's adjusting to her contacts. Ai confesses that while she values her independence, she treasures his help even more. She then rests her palm on his cheek, urging him to face her so their eyes can meet. Instead, Kimura turns beet red, and his expression suddenly reminds her of Asuka's earlier look, catching her off guard. She bolts away without uttering a word, but heading home, she admits it'd genuinely thrill her if Kimura saw her as someone truly special. The next day, she once again leaves her glasses behind, and when Kimura offers to share his textbook, she readily agrees. Pulling her desk beside his, Kimura feels his face warm up since her ponytail strikes him as adorable. She then leans toward his face, and when he pulls back questioning her, she teases that she just wants to check out his features. After she dashes off grinning, Somaya confronts Kimura, asking if he'd been kissing Ai, sending him into a panic. But a fellow classmate clarifies that Ai was merely leaning close, something she does routinely every day. Once Somaya walks off, Kimura starts fretting over people drawing the wrong conclusions, and while he's groaning to himself, Ai walks in and asks what's troubling him, so he fakes being ill. Upon hearing this, Ai digs through her bag and produces a mask, and Kimura puts it on so he won't have to explain and embarrass her. He then tells Ai to keep her distance so she won't catch whatever he supposedly has, yet she keeps gazing at him with a grin. She spends the whole day leaning close to his face, leaving Kimura tense since Somaya keeps watching him. During PE, Somaya mentions she's never experienced romance and got thrilled seeing him alongside Ai. She then questions whether he genuinely didn't kiss Ai, unaware that Ai can overhear their exchange. Distracted, she trips on a ball and crashes hard on her backside. Kimura and the others hurry over to check on her, and she's quickly escorted to the nurse's office. Once there, she thanks Kimura for coming along, though really he had little choice since Asuka strong-armed him into it. Kimura can't stop replaying Someya's earlier words in his head, making him blush deeply. Suddenly, Ai asks what he does over weekends, and he mentions he hits the arcade. Ai responds she's only permitted to go accompanied by her dad, making him realize she's an overprotected daddy's girl. She points out they barely got to talk today since she'd been spending time with Somaya, making him aware he'd been unintentionally ignoring her. Ai then asks if he'll let her examine his face up close at least once daily, since she can't cope without doing so. Kimura can't grasp why, since he practically embodies social anxiety personified, but noticing her blush, he agrees anyway. okay. He tells her she can look as often as she wants, and Ai takes this offer a bit too literally. She holds his face between her hands and stares intently, and even though Kimura's about to lose it, he holds himself together for her sake. After class ends, Ai assists Kimura with cleanup duty, but while stashing the broom in the closet, her hair gets snagged in the door. Once he points it out, Ai tugs at her hair trying to free it and asks Kimura to fetch scissors, which throws him into a panic. Regaining composure, he volunteers to cut it himself and works carefully to limit the damage. While this is happening, she asks whether he prefers her hair long, but Kimura's too absorbed in the task to register the question. The following morning, Ai's tying her hair up in class when her hair tie slips from her grip, and Kimura catches it. She then asks if he'd style her hair, and despite his admission of zero experience, she assures him everyone starts somewhere. Nervously, Kimura agrees and begins brushing her hair as she beams with delight. Once finished, she admires herself in her compact mirror, gushing that she wishes every morning could feel like this. Kimura offers to fix her hair at school too, but she declines, implying she'd rather have him do it at her house instead. On a rainy afternoon, Kimura's prepping decorations for the cultural festival when Ai walks up requesting tissue since her hands are covered in ink. She then suggests he take a breather afterward, and once he agrees, she waits patiently until he wraps up. She eventually volunteers to help paste posters, but works so sluggishly that the glue hardens before she finishes. Kimura proposes he'll apply the adhesive while she sticks the paper down, but she ends up gluing the page directly to her palms. Mortified by the blunder, she asks Kimura to notify her once he's done before she rejoins her friends. That's when it dawns on Kimura that she wants to spend her break time with him specifically. As Kimura steps out to grab more glue, Ai tags along insisting she wants to come too, and both of them blush. Once inside the art room, she quickly bolts the door and mentions she hasn't gotten her daily look at his face yet, leaving Kimura flustered at being alone with her. He suggests somewhere else might work better, but she insists on privacy, with no one else around. Ultimately, Kimura relents and lets her have her way, realizing in that instant that he might genuinely mean something to her. Back in class, Azuma asks Kimura to wipe ink off his cheek, while Maho simultaneously asks Ai to clean ink from her fingers. Kimura attempts to clarify that things aren't what they seem, and Azuma feigns cluelessness. That evening, Kimura's mother recommends he get an ear piercing, but he refuses, still bitter she'd previously forced him to dye his hair, leaving him resembling a bargain bin Justin Bieber. The next day, Kimura observes that piercings would suit someone like Sameya or Azuma way more than himself. Just as he's heading to class, he stumbles upon Ai sprawled face down on the ground and asks what she's doing. She explains she dropped something tiny and was hunting for it, which turns out to be an earring stud. Kimura starts questioning whether Ai's ears are actually pierced, picturing how stylish earrings would look on her. Throughout the lecture, they push their desks together and Kimura leans in trying to spot piercing holes in her ears. But when she turns to catch him staring, he pulls back and forces himself to behave. During art period, Kimura is still dwelling on this when Ai abruptly reveals the earring-looking item from earlier, actually just a craft bead for her cultural festival project. Kimura realizes she's genuinely gifted artistically, whereas he's stuck making a purple potato blob, since crafts aren't his strong suit. Ai then waves a needle near his face, curious whether people actually pierce ears with those, but Kimura corrects her that it's done using a piercing gun instead. She confesses she's drawn to piercings, but finds the actual puncturing terrifying. When Kimura mentions his mom's been pushing him toward getting one too, she spontaneously presses the bead against his ear, remarking it might suit him, causing him to blush. That night, Kimura finds himself browsing piercing guns online since Ai's comment has him questioning his entire existence. Days later, students are hard, at work decorating for the festival, and Ai tells Asuka she needs to be home before 6, or else her parents will get upset. She adds she'll be denied her usual morning cocoa as consequence, hence the strict deadline. But then she overhears Sameya teasing Kimura about kissing Ai, prompting her to announce she'll stay at school until 7 instead. Kimura wonders if she's extending her stay just to spend extra time with him, then mentally smacks himself for even entertaining that notion. Afterward, he recruits Ai to help label art pieces, and once 6 o'clock hits, he checks if she's doing alright. Ai admits she's anxious since her cutoff was 6 sharp, prompting him to pick up the pace. Once they finish, Kimura steps out for water and spots Ai's phone lying on the ground. Picking it up, he notices multiple missed calls from her mother. Just then, Ai starts searching for Kimura, so he ducks behind a curtain to make it seem he's already gone. Upon seeing the missed calls, Ai rushes off immediately, leaving him feeling down. Kimura decides to trail her to confirm she gets home okay, discovering her in the locker room frantically hunting for her shoes. Unable to locate her locker, she ends up leaving in her gym sneakers, so he retrieves her actual shoes from her locker to deliver them. Along the way, he hears Ai crying and initially considers leaving her alone, aware she'll face a scolding for being late. He changes course though and rings her doorbell, telling her mom he'd accidentally worn Ai's shoes home since they're identical pairs, explaining her tardiness. Kimura then passes her the shoes and departs, and despite feeling strange about the whole thing, he did it purely to shield Ai from parental punishment. The following day, Ai remembers her glasses and mentions they fogged over while sipping her morning cocoa. This news delights him, confirming his scheme worked flawlessly without anyone suspecting his stalkerish behavior. Later, Kimura reads Ai's essay about recent happenings, where she describes blowing all her cash on a crane machine chasing a mascot prize. She also writes about arriving home late and her mom banning cocoa, though her dad overrode that ruling. Later, Kimura examines Ai's pancake pancake octopus craft for the cultural festival and recognizes her genuine talent. He also catches her eyeing his subpar pincushion that resembles more of a purple potato, making him uneasy. During the presentation, Ai slips out of the auditorium, and Kimura trails after her, discovering her sitting solo outside. Spotting him approaching, she invites him over, commenting how strange the school feels so empty during daytime hours. She mentions reading his essay about recent events, praising how deliberately he selects his words. He responds that he read hers too and enjoyed it, though Ai suspects he's mocking her. Suddenly, she draws his face nearer to hers, and Kimura panics, fearing someone might witness them together. Ai assures him it's fine since everyone's occupied in the gym, so Kimura points out she's wearing her glasses currently and doesn't need such close proximity. This prompts Ai to wonder aloud if she's become too demanding lately, behaving spoiled. Kimura denies this, questioning instead why she craves looking at him so frequently, and she explains it soothes her nerves. She then admits she's overdoing it and promises to restrain herself from staring so much, but Kimura tells her there's no need since he genuinely doesn't mind. Recognizing his own cowardice, he finally musters courage to confess he enjoys looking at her too, right before resting his palm against her cheek. Ai welcomes his gesture and beams at him, causing the guy to well up with tears. She remarks he's somewhat fatherly given how protective he is, explaining why she feels so secure around him. While Kimura short-circuits at being labeled fatherly, Ai suddenly recalls they might face consequences for sneaking away, though she reasons it's fine as long as he's there with her. Following the cultural festival, Kimura fills out a future planning survey, and Ai asks whether he's aiming to become a professional gamer. Kimura withholds admitting he has zero dreams, terrified she'll brand him a failure. Since he stays quiet about his own answer, Ai opts to share hers, scrolling through her phone until she pulls up her preschool graduation photo book. Inside, she'd written that her goal was to marry her own father. She then shows him an old childhood photo of himself, making him blush hard. When he asks her age in that picture, Ai suddenly turns bashful and yanks it out of view, leaving him wondering whether that warrants police involvement. Kimura then asks about her present-day dream, and she says owning a pet fish, revealing they share the exact same aspiration. She mentions she still hopes to marry someday, just not her father this time, leaving Kimura curious who'd be the fortunate groom. She adds she's practicing to become a skilled homemaker, and has already perfected omuritse, showing him a photo of her cooking. Kimura spots a doodle on the egg and questions if she attempted drawing a hand, which suddenly embarrasses her. That evening, Kimura digs up his own childhood photo book to check his past ambitions, discovering he'd wanted a standard office grind job. Wallowing in his own mediocrity, he admits he can barely recall anything before developing feelings for Ai. Right then, his mom summons him for dinner, and he finds Omuris waiting on the table. He attempts recreating Ai's egg doodle, and his mother instantly identifies it as a maple leaf. Kimura feels mortified upon finally understanding why Ai got flustered earlier, and biting into his food, he wonders how her cooking would actually taste. He then pictures Ai as his adoring wife whipping up delicious meals, questioning whether that fantasy qualifies as his actual dream. The next day, he receives a form asking his post-graduation goals, and he writes that he wants to become Ai's husband. Just as he's erasing it, Ai appears and catches the word husband, making her wonder whose existence he's planning to destroy. He dodges by claiming it could be anybody, but Ai sulks and sits down, almost like she'd hoped he'd say her name specifically. Later during home economics, Ai gets paired with Azuma and his friends for cooking, and Kimura seethes with jealousy watching Ai get chummy with him. Unaware to him, Ai's actually asking Azuma how to shape her cookie like an arcade coin, knowing Kimura's fondness for arcades, hoping to bring him joy. Right then, Yasuka warns Ai an arcade coin might upset Kimura since the machine was broken his last visit there. Overhearing this, Kimura gets mortified that his own buddy is spilling his secrets. Ai then quizzes Yasaka about Kimura's arcade behavior, and he describes the guy zoning out completely while playing. Kimura also mentions he plays crane games for snacks, but always ends up gifting them to his mother. Yasaka concludes Kimura seems okay with the topic now, so Ai resumes crafting her coin-shaped cookie. Azuma teases that she's slow even wearing glasses, and her flustered reaction cracks him up. Ai then spots Azuma sculpting a bird shape and asks why, learning there's a neighbor girl he's making it for. Ai realizes he's got feelings for her, and questions whether confessing is truly necessary, and Azuma insists he'll have no shot otherwise. After class wraps, Ai bids Azuma farewell, leaving Kimura convinced he's completely lost his chance with her. Overwhelmed, he tries slipping away quietly, but Ai chases him down and suddenly grabs his hand. When she starts struggling to catch her breath, he rushes to buy her water from the vending machine, helping her recover. She's grateful she wore her glasses today, otherwise she couldn't have located him, though she considers herself sluggish even with them since Azuma said so. Kimura, uninterested in discussing Azuma, attempts to leave again, but she offers him a bag of the cookies she'd made, instantly boosting his spirits. She then bashfully confesses she shaped them like coins specifically for him, then curses herself for being slow. That's when Kimura launches into a rant about actually preferring her slow pace, leaving them both blushing. That night, Kimura recalls seeing Ai's childhood photo and decides to dig up his own similarly. However, finding all his pictures mortifying, he instinctively tucks them away inside his notebook. The following day, he accidentally drops one at Yasaka's feet, and Yasaka instantly shows it off to Ai. Unable to make it out since she forgot her glasses again, he explains it depicts Kimura tumbling off the bars, crying with a bloody nose. When Asuka points out Kimura once had black hair, Ai presses presses her face against the photo and turns flustered, realizing what that action resembles. Now that her lips have technically brushed the photo, Kimura suddenly finds himself fond of it. After class, I ask Kimura to walk home together, and while putting on shoes, he realizes this has become a frequent routine lately. Outside, I asks about stopping by the park, and before he can respond, she instructs him to wait by the bars while she runs home for her glasses. Once she leaves, Kimura recalls his previous bar-related tumble and resolves to redeem himself. Shortly after, I comes rushing back, saying she wants another look at his old photo, now that she can see clearly. Searching his bag, though, he can't locate it, and realizes he must have left it in his desk drawer. This devastates I, but she realizes he could simply recreate the picture by performing on the bars right now. Kimura agrees to attempt it, and as she readies her phone to film, he successfully lands a complete flip. I senses serious main character energy radiating off him. While he holds his pose, she snaps a quick selfie alongside him, cheerfully announcing she'll send it over, warning him not to share it elsewhere. As he stands there stunned, she passes him her glasses and attempts her own flip on the bars, giving up almost instantly. Reclaiming her glasses afterward, she notices Kimura's nose bleeding, courtesy of accidentally glimpsing her thighs. The following day, Mei shows up wearing her non-prescription fashion glasses, and since they serve no purpose, she suggests Kimura try them on. Kimura's cheeks flush, knowing she'd just had them on, but she assures him they're clean, so he slips them on quickly. Mei struggles to see his face clearly, so she requests he snap a selfie and forward it to her, though he declines doing it in front of her. Mei suggests he bring the glasses home and take the selfie whenever he feels ready. While digging through her bag for a case, she stumbles across her actual prescription glasses inside. She puts those on instead and finally gets a clear look at Kimura. Later during class, Kimura finds himself distracted by the scent drifting from Mei's hair. Not long after, Maho arrives to style Mei's hair, while Kimura tries to stay fixated on his notes. When he finally glances over and spots Mei sporting pigtails, his heart stutters. She looks so adorable that he can't tear his eyes away, even continuing to stare throughout swim class. He notices her reluctance to put on her swim cap, unaware it's because she's protecting her hairstyle, prompting Yasaka to tell Kimura to quit gawking at her. During lunch, Kimura observes Mei's hair growing slightly disheveled and wonders if she's considering taking it down. He points out a rice grain tangled in her hair, but this irritates Mei enough that she unravels her pigtails entirely, disappointing him. Later, while napping against his textbook, Kimura notices dampness in her hair, and upon waking, that same moisture transfers onto his book. Noticing this, Mei instantly apologizes and starts retying her hair, but she abruptly halts when she catches him watching and asks Maho to style it instead. That's when he realizes she'd already clocked how much he adored her pigtails. Walking home together, she asks about his favorite fish, and he answers salmon. Mei mentions she's drawn more to lumpfish, though flapjack octopuses top her list. Suddenly, she halts, wearing a troubled expression, leaving Kimura wondering if she's bored being stuck with him instead of Maho and Asuka. Mei then asks what clothing style he prefers, then abruptly says she'll figure it out herself, and walks off. As Kimura turns to head home, he overhears some guy conversing with Mei, and she leans close to his face since she doesn't recognize him. Still unable to place him, she asks his name, learning he's Ise from her previous school. Realizing they share history, Kimura feels dejected and chooses to walk away from the scene. The next day, she once again forgets her glasses, and Kimura offers to sit beside her. Afterward, she mentions crossing paths with an old classmate yesterday, though she can't quite recall his face, likely because she'd forgotten her glasses back then too. Kimura reflects on all their shared memories together, wondering if she'd eventually forget his face as well. Later, he and another student assist their teacher with carrying supplies, and she mentions struggling to adapt to her new contacts. He asks if she ever forgets to insert them, and the girl instantly connects this to Mei. She remarks he's practically Mei's guardian given how devoted he is, adding she might eventually stop losing her glasses altogether someday. After class ends, the teacher instructs students to start prepping for entrance exams, and Mei once again requests that Kimura walk her home. En route, Mei realizes they won't get much time together after summer since their exams loom close. Kimura mentions he'll also be traveling outside the city during break, urging her not to lose track of her glasses while he's away. She vows she won't, leaving him pondering whether she'll forget about him instead once she remembers her glasses. The next day, Mei tells Kimura she finally got a clear look at her old classmate Isa's face, noting he'd tease her for forgetting her glasses. She adds Isa was essentially the polar opposite of Kimura, since Kimura constantly helps her out, leaving him wondering what more he could do to ensure she never forgets him. Later, Kimura invites Mei to walk home together, but the walk turns oddly tense for both of them. Kimura proposes stopping at the park, where Mei attempts a flip but realizes she's not wearing shorts today. With the swing also off limits, Mei opts for the slide alongside Kimura instead. Squeezed together inside it, Mei asks him to simply stay close, making him nervous given how cramped the space is. She confesses she's been suppressing the urge for a while, but now wants to look at his face since summer vacation starts tomorrow. She gently cradles his face in her palms, and while Kimura freezes in shock, she asks him to mirror the gesture. In that moment, Kimura acknowledges he would have once been content merely assisting her, but now that's not enough, his heart craving something deeper. Afterward, they sit there blushing until Mei asks him to grab his phone so she can Bluetooth him a picture. She sends over the selfie from the bars earlier, teasing that he looks incredibly sweaty in it. She adds that his hands and face felt warm too, leading Kimura to believe she might genuinely genuinely remember him after all. Stepping outside, she asks him not to forget her overbreak, and as she turns to go, Kimura suddenly seizes her hand. After an adorable internal monologue, he blurts out that he wants to see her face again tomorrow too, making Mei blush intensely. This transports her back years to when she brought 100 yen hoping to buy ice cream, and young Kimura happened to be there, informing her it actually cost 130 yen. He lent her the missing 30 yen so she could get her treat, and she explained she couldn't read the price tag since Ise had swiped her glasses. She told her dad this story, who assumed Ise wanted to marry her, though Kimura felt stealing her glasses was crossing the line. He offered to escort her home, and she remarked he was thoughtful like her father. She also mentioned knowing this neighborhood well since she frequently lost her glasses, joking maybe she should marry someone exactly like him who'd always look after her. That was the moment he fell for her, and now he's grateful they share such a unique connection. Comment blind chick if you watch this recap to the end, and if you enjoy anime recaps like this, subscribe to the channel and watch this next video.